pretty good properties out in California at one point in time. And I know I had 3 neighbors who had good properties. It was in a place called Ojai, California. And they got caught up about 15, 16 years ago, like a lot of people did, in that mortgage bundling scam stuff that was going on. And there was a bank called One West Bank responsible for it, which was owned by George Soros. The Mnuchin that you have out of the Obama administration was Mnuchin, who was the CEO of One West Bank. Well, there were approximately 1,200 counts of indictments returned against Mnuchin and One West Bank in various counties in California. Well, Mnuchin and Soros financed and arranged and sponsored Kamala to run for Attorney General of California. They got her elected. She got in, and using the authority she had, she promptly consolidated all 5,200 counts and dismissed them. And a couple of weeks later, Soros sold One West Bank for $4.2 billion. So after that, they got together and got her finance and got everything organized and made the connections for her, and she got elected to U.S. Senator. Willie Brown made the initial contacts and arrangements so she could get elected as district attorney for San Francisco. She didn't do a very good job. She had a reputation for giving out the stiffest sentences in the United States of America for simple possession of marijuana in San Francisco, for God's sakes. But it was only to young black men. She's not
a witch, and she is a corrupt witch. She's been corrupt her whole life, and she's her way to the top. Oh, Lord. They used to detail this witch in the LA Times with her sexual escapades. Everybody trying to get up. She used to be a frat hoe when she was at Howard. And she ain't black.
She got her first taste of the limelight when she dated talk show host Montel Williams.
Everyone say it ahead for me. She got out, and they ran a thing that when she went to law school, Willie Brown, that was his mistress. They used to have guards.
I heard about that, though.
Where they had one I loved. It was a scene, Willie Brown sitting behind a desk with his tongue hang out, and Kamala is raising up after doing him, you know. And they ran this thing where he got her a job with a medical supply company that did business with the city of San Francisco. He got her a gig for 15 hours a week for $72,000 a year. And you have to understand that was 35 years ago. And then when they carried a thing where she moved up to 20 hours a week, she getting paid $120,000 for a part-time gig, and he bought her a 750i BMW. She was earning that. So then she had this thing where she was trying to get on with this big firm they wouldn't hire, so she started screwing one of your buddies, an NBA player who was their biggest client. So she got hired.
Kamala Harris started her career after law school as an assistant district attorney for the Alameda County in Oakland, California. It wasn't long into her career when Kamala met Willie Brown and they started dating in 1994. Willie Brown was an extremely popular politician in San Francisco for decades. He was known to dress nicely and be extremely charismatic. He was also known to be a winner and wouldn't support a candidate based on their color, but rather if they could win.
I loved Shirley Chisholm. I thought she had lots of great qualities. But I am a very want-to-win guy. And I want to win. And if you're going to want to win and you're going to try to win, you'd better put together a combination of the things that will make for a final vote that carries you to victory. You couldn't do that with the Chisholm operation, like you can't do that with the Bernie Sanders operation. You can't do that, in my opinion, with the Trump operation. You can't do that with anybody who is on the edge.
It didn't matter about their policy, it mattered on their popularity. It's very known that Willie Brown touted about being the one who put Kamala on, but was it because he believed in Kamala, or was it something else? Kamala isn't the only associate of Willie Brown to make a name for herself. Willie Brown also brought in Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, and many more. But Kamala's way in was much different. Willie appointed Kamala to 2 state commissions when he was Assembly Speaker. This added over $200,000 annual to her salary. As an Assembly Speaker, Willie Brown was the connection to all major state leaders and federal administration in Washington. As a side note, Willie Brown was investigated by the FBI in 1998 for potential conflict of interest for who he's appointed into high positions. He was powerful. He appointed Harris to the California Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board and the Medical Assistance Commission. A lot of her Democratic colleagues envied Kamala, as they noticed she was quickly put in high positions without the same amount of work as some of her associates. This was the power Willie Brown had, and he wasn't even the mayor yet. In 1995, Willie Brown became the mayor of San Francisco, and later that year, Kamala and Willie split. Coincidentally, Kamala was recruited to San Francisco's district attorney's office around the same time. It should be noted that when Kamala and Willie Brown were dating, he took her to high and extravagant places where she met some powerful people. Even Clint Eastwood showed up to Willie's parties and allegedly spilled wine on Kamala. Evidently, these are the opportunities that got her to where she is now. Kamala gained popularity and notoriety among California's highest people, and this is mostly due to Willie Brown's influence. She even dated talk show host Montel Williams in 2001, which shows she was around rich and powerful men, but there's no denying that Kamala is a prosecutor, a very strict prosecutor. So in 2003, after having enough funding by Willie Brown's wealthy donors, Kamala was ready to run for district attorney of San Francisco.
Harris claims that in the 2000s, she didn't flex laws like 3 strikes. She said as DA, her policy was only to pursue a 3rd strike if the crime was serious or violent. And yet she remained proud that the felony conviction rate rose during her tenure.
When we're talking about serious and violent crime, lock them up. In San Francisco, in my office, we've increased the conviction rates for the DA's office to the highest they've been in just under 15 years.
Kamala has always been a progressive. Her parents were academics and were not shy about their belief in Marxist ideology. But Kamala didn't run her campaign as a progressive, she actually ran more as a centrist. The reason is Willie Brown doesn't want you to run on policy, he wants you to run to win. Running against her manager at the time, Terrence Hallinan, who was extremely progressive, Kamala took 56% of the vote and won the election. During the same election, Gavin Newsom won mayor of San Francisco, succeeding Willie Brown. This was the spark that lit Kamala's career as well as Gavin Newsom's. Today, Gavin Newsom is the governor of California and Kamala is set to be the first female president. After Kamala won the election as district attorney, she eventually threw Willie Brown under the bus and stated that his time is done.
For the victory party, but by the time the inauguration hit, his estranged wife reappeared to be holding the Bible while he took the oath of office, and Kamala was kind of pushed aside. But, Willie Brown didn't forget her. When Kamala decided to run for district attorney of San Francisco, he was there quietly nudging all of his wealthy donors and powerful connections to help her out. Him and Terrence Hallinan, the existing district attorney, were not friends anymore. They had kind of had an ugly clash. And Kamala Harris likewise tried to overthrow Hallinan's second in command, but failed miserably, and so she ended up leaving the office to kind of plot her revenge. So Willie Brown was definitely there behind the scenes, but Kamala Harris did as much as she could before the election to distance herself from Willie Brown. At one point, doing a very long interview with San Francisco magazine, throwing him under the bus entirely, saying, Willie Brown's career is over, he's done, hello, my turn is here, it's Kamala Harris. Sounds really familiar.
I didn't have to give a heads up. The New York Times gave a heads up. New York Times printed, one of those places printed a story, and the story was inaccurate, period. And when she was apparently approached, she had no comment. Well, no comment is bullshit for me in this world, just like it is for you.
Maybe this is why Judge Joe Brown refers to her as a witch. Kamala was later elected the Attorney General of California in 2010 and was re-elected in 2014. In 2018, she became extremely popular when she grilled Trump-appointed Supreme Court member Brett Kavanaugh.
The FBI did conduct a background investigation into you before we were aware of these most recent allegations. So are you willing to ask the White House to do that? And say yes or no, and then we can move on.
I've had 6 background investigations over 26 years.
Sir, as it relates to the recent allegations, are you willing to have them do it?
So the question remains, did Kamala have a leg up in her rise to power? To be objective, Kamala has worked her way to the top, but it's easily speculated to believe that she wouldn't be in her position if it wasn't for Willie Brown giving her the key. As a notable figure during the civil rights moments, powerful people like Jesse Jackson and Willie Brown created a new Democratic Party which made it what it is today. So was Willie orchestrated in putting Kamala on? Notably bypassing other powerful Democrats and appeasing his donors. Did Willie Brown create the Democratic Party as we see it today? And is it coincidence that they hold the highest places in power? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to help continue the fight for free speech. See you next time, and just remember, we told you so.